Well, we finally got our 2-day project done. I think this thing's been in the shop for about 3 months now.
All right, the weather ain't fit for playing cotton today, but we just couldn't resist the chance to try this sucker out and see if she's gonna be worth all the work we put into her this winter and spring. Oh yeah, look at that. About as smooth as a putt-putt golf course. That's as good as she's laid down cover crop in several years. Well, we've been pretty much at a standstill all week long. Today, Andy got the loader tractor cleaned up all the chicken litter, trying to get the bucket free. Got the oil changed in the side by side here. Got the bush hog in here yesterday. And been working on rebuilding the center gearbox on it and stuff, putting new bearings in it and everything. You know, we hadn't done any planting since last week. Whenever we finished up, I mean, we were set to go to plant cotton on Monday, but the weather just hasn't been right all week long. It's not too wet. I mean, it's dry enough we could go to the field and plant. It has been a little damp, but it's definitely not too wet or anything. Right now, it's the temperatures and, well, as you see, lack of sunshine. And cotton's one of those crops, you need a minimum soil temperature of 65 degrees and with highs around 70 and lows in the high 50s, intermittent rain showers and stuff. That's just not very conducive to getting cotton plant up. And even though we're getting on into the cotton planting window, there ain't no sense in putting that $600 per bag seed in the ground if it don't have a good chance of coming up. And one thing I'm desperately trying to do this year is avoid replanting at all costs. So weather's not right this week, so we're gonna wait till it is right, regardless if it's late or not. We're gonna try and do it once and do it right. So we just been piddling here around the shop with some odds and ends. Got the mower serviced. We did get the sprayer fixed. Finally found the coolant leak on it. I done gotten worried because we could not find the coolant leak on it anywhere. And I think Kelly put like 3 gallons of coolant in it during, you know, corn and soybean planting season, but we could not find any external leak at all. And I was worried we got internal engine problems. It wasn't in the engine oil, so, you know, oil cooler, you know, so the oil cooler was ruled out and stuff, but I was worried maybe we had a blown head gasket or something and it was burning the coolant off, and I started to get worried. Anyway, yesterday Andy actually sprayed our soybeans with insecticide for 3-corner alfalfa hopper. They're about the 2-leaf stage, and you know, we've had problems with 3-corner alfalfa hoppers in the past, thinning out the stand, and we definitely didn't want that this year, so he sprayed all the soybeans last year. And we're trying to track down a small hydraulic leak. And anyway, he got down there under the engine, the rear part of the engine, and saw coolant, a little bit of coolant dripping out. So anyway, he got done with that and got to tracking it down once he got back here at the shop, and come to find out all it was a heater hose on the backside of the engine. I guess where they pulled the cab off this winter and just didn't get the heater hose hooked up good, and that's where all our coolant was going to. But tell you, for the life of us, we couldn't find it. Anyway, hopefully our sprayer is now ready to go good, and then after I get this gearbox rebuilt, hopefully our bush hog will be good to go for the season. But until then, we're just waiting. I'm hoping maybe late this week, Friday, Saturday, the weather improves enough, the temperatures warm up enough, maybe we'll go try to plant a little cotton this week. If not, we'll wait till Monday, but I don't know. But hopefully maybe tomorrow or Friday, I'll be able to take y'all out and take a look at the soybeans and corn we got coming up, and see just how good a stand we got on that. Well, we finally got caught up on all of our work. Everything's ready to go. We've really got nothing left to do until we get some cotton planted. So thought I'd bring y'all out here and see what our soybeans and corn look like. Now, I'm not gonna lie, initially I was concerned about the beans. I was expecting a full 100% stand, excellent, didn't have any kind of weather conditions. It was warm, plenty of moisture when we planted, didn't get any pounding rains on them. But when I came out here and started digging around about a week after I planted, noticed some of them were struggling to come up. I didn't find any seed that were rotted or anything. Every single seed I dug up had germinated, but what was happening is some of the soybeans was breaking their neck as they were coming up out of the ground. The way a soybean germinates, it's got the cotyledons and it's got the neck, and it kind of comes up, pushes up out of the ground like this, and then the cotyledons come up and spread out. Well, they was breaking right there where my wrist was. I think what happened, when we planted, it was a little heavy when we planted, and then we didn't get any kind of rains or anything. We had some wind, plenty of sun, and I think what it did, it kind of baked that soil where the closing wheels, pressed it together, and the soil got a little tight and made it a little difficult for some to get up.
Anyway, you can see right here, we got some stragglers coming up right here in this one spot. Trying to see if I see any with just like a stem poking up where it broke its neck. Now, most of the time when it breaks its neck, the soybean plant is done for. Anyway, looking right down through here, we got a good stand. It's not a perfect stand. It's not 130,000 seed per acre that we planted stand, but it's definitely adequate enough, not going to have to replant it. And then, most areas look just like this. Really nice, good looking beans with very few skips. But that's the thing about soybeans, you don't need a perfect stand. Soybeans, just like cotton, if they got the time to grow, they have the ability to compensate and branch out, put on extra pods and everything else. So as long as you got at least an average stand of, I've seen some reports as low as 60,000 plants per acre. I'd really like to have at least 80,000 plants per acre. You'll be okay. And when I did a stand count about a week ago, when some of these were struggling to come up, I was showing about 84,000 plants per acre, and since then more have come up. So if I had to guess without doing a count right now, I'd say we're somewhere around 100,000 plants per acre, which will be more than adequate. They planted early. We got 100% yield potential out here. Overall, I'm not completely 100% tickled with my bean crop, but I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's going to be a-okay.
All right, on the corn, I want to start off, I want to show y'all this spot.
Y'all can see right there, there is corn coming up. It's not the best stand in the world, but there is corn coming up.
I believe this is the first time in my entire life we've actually had corn growing in this spot. It's always been nothing but a mud hole every year that we've planted, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 years when it was abnormally dry during planting.
And we've got corn coming up.
And that's all due to the
tile that we had put in. But anyway, looking at this corn, I mean, it's not quite what I was expecting. I mean, we got a stand out here. However, we don't have a full stand. We've got about 90% of what I planted has come up. So there are a few skips out here, like over in here where the Can-Am sitting, I was planting 30,000. We got about 26,000 up. So we don't have an ideal stand, which is really surprising, because there was absolutely no reason for the corn to just not come up blowing and going. I mean, we had ideal planting conditions. That just goes to show you that you just don't know when you plant. I mean, you just don't know.
But overall, you know, looking at the spacing right there, I mean, it is absolutely spot on, 5.5 inches between seed.
I gotta say, overall, I'm super happy with the performance of the precision planting meters of the V-Drive. I mean, it does an absolutely phenomenal job of singulating seed and getting this spaced evenly. I mean, occasionally I'll see
a double like that, but it is very rare.
But anyway, I've done some digging out here where we have a skip, and for the most part, the seed germinated, but it just kind of corkscrewed. It's like it got lost trying to find its way up. And I don't know if maybe we had some temperature variations in the topsoil that kind of confused the corn as it was trying to determine which way was up. But it looks like, you know, like I said, it just kind of corkscrewed like it was hunting. Looked like it went down and then went up and then went down again. And you know, a few of these gaps we see it just finally starting to spike up, but that's not going to do me any good, because it's going to be, you know, a full collar behind the rest of it. It's going to be more like a weed. I just assume it just not even come up where it's trying to fill in the gap.
You know, we got you know, a lot of it just like this right here where we got a gap. You know, this is not going to produce, if it produces deer, it'll be a nubbin. You know, it's going to be a, you know, full stage behind its neighbor right here.
Let's get out of this conventionally tilled part and go look at some of my no-till cover crops, see if maybe it looks any better.
All right, same farm, same variety, planted about an hour later, and it looks a little bit better over here. Not as many skips.
However, I did find one skip here. So here's a plant, here's a plant. Here's a seed right here that I dug up, didn't germinate, but then look at this little guy right here. That's what I'm talking about. See how it's kind of corkscrewed? It was just wandering around up underneath the soil. That's what's happening in a lot of these skips that I'm seeing. And really not, the only thing I can think of is temperature.
I mean, temperature fluctuations in the soil. I mean, that's about the only thing I can come up with. I know it's not compaction. The furrow force did a good job of, you know, breaking up the sidewall. And, you know, this was not wet or heavy or anything. Whenever I planted, you know, it was crumbling up nicely behind the furrow force. I mean, did an absolutely phenomenal job. Said temperature fluctuations is the only thing I can think of.
But overall, I believe it looks just a little bit better over here in the no-till. Of course, there's more insulation on the soil, so the soil temperature, while it might take a little bit longer to warm up, it stays more consistent whenever you do have temperature fluctuations.
So I kind of got the same feeling toward my corn crop right now as I do my soybean crop. Definitely nothing here to even consider replanting, especially considering, you know, we're on into May a pretty good bit. Definitely no reason to consider replanting, but it's not the home run stand that I was really expecting based upon the plant conditions we had. It just goes to show you, even when you plan and you do everything by the book and everything's right, sometimes still things just don't go like they should. All right, y'all, hold on. I kind of take back a little what I said about my corn crop. I just happened to come across the road. This farm right here was planted a day earlier, and it's a different variety. This is my progeny variety. Look at it down there. I'm seeing very, very few skips right here, so it looks a lot more evenly emerged. I don't know, the one across the road was decab 6744. And I said, this is progeny. I mean, I've really, very rarely have I known for, you know, brands to make a difference in emergence, but I'm a whole lot happier with this over here.
Guess I might do a little bit more scouting on my corn crop, checking all the varieties, because we might see some differences this year. This progeny right here, I'm really tickled with it. Anyway, guys, I reckon that's gonna be it until cotton planting. You know, with sun and moderate temperatures today, I was really considering putting some cottonseed in the planter and trying it out. But the forecast for this weekend is trending colder. I'm seeing low temperatures in the low 50s for 2 nights this weekend. I'm like, not gonna do it, not gonna do it. It's projected to warm back up into the low 80s early part of next week. I'm like, it's not gonna put my cotton crop any farther ahead. If it does happen to come up, I go ahead and get in the ground, and it actually does come up, but it's gonna be a lot bigger chance that we could have to replant. It's like, not gonna do it. We're just gonna wait a few more days. Hopefully waiting for the perfect conditions for our cotton crop will make the difference in it coming on up this year. It's been 13 days since that planter's planted the seed. We've gone from perfect planting season to everything has gone to crap in a hurry. Well, because we can't plant any cotton right now, we turn our attention to corn postemerge. Last week it was too cold to plant. This week it's too wet to plant. We actually got started spraying yesterday. We got freaking rained out, so don't know if we're going to have to respray that. We started spraying our conventional corn before we got Roundup in the tank and had to get it cleaned out and everything. Most of it had 2 to 3 hours on it, so I don't know. Maybe we'll get lucky and it'll kill. We'll have to wait and see. Might have to do a freaking respray on it. But hey, at least we got the pre-emerges activated though. And today the ground is borderline being too heavy to spray, but ideally our corn would get sprayed later on this week, because that'd be the proper timing. But hopefully later this week we'll be planting cotton. We've only got 1 sprayer, and my corn's not going to be able to wait another 4, 5, 6, 7 days, depending on if we get rained out or not, because they're calling for more rain. So we're going to go ahead and get the corn post. So we're going to go ahead and get our herbicide sprayed on our corn and hopefully get it laid by, even if it is a little earlier than what I want. But anyway, what we're spraying on our corn is spraying Roundup, atrazine, and Rim Q there. Again, this is going on all of our acres that are not conventional, all of our Roundup Ready acres, which is going to be the bulk of it. This weed control program has worked just absolutely lights out for us for 4, 5, 6 years now. Anyway, on my conventional ground, what I was spraying this product right here, Revulin. Anyway, it's got a nicosulfuron in there, or Accent, and Callisto. And because it's got the Callisto in there, we couldn't use the Rim Q, so we used Dual instead for our grass weed control. So hopefully it will work. I don't expect it to work as good as this mix, but hopefully it'll be sufficient for our conventional corn. Yeah, what's really got me concerned with our with the corn is, we got annual ryegrass in our cover crop mix. Of course, paraquat's not going to kill it because annual ryegrass is so tough to kill. What we do is we burn down with paraquat, and that burns the ryegrass back to the ground. And the reason annual ryegrass is so hard to kill is because it's got an absolute massive root system on there. You got to kill the root system to kill the plant. Anyway, paraquat burns it completely back down to the ground. But then when the ryegrass starts putting back out, it's pulling reserves out of that root system, so that when we go back with our glyphosate Roundup, it'll completely kill it dead. Now, that's by far the best way we found to control annual ryegrass, and it does an absolute lights out job.
However, if we were to wait until after cotton planting to get our corn post-emerge on, the annual ryegrass would have put back out enough, it'd probably start putting reserves back down in the roots, be tougher to kill. And then not only that, you know, it would be competing with the small corn, and we would already get our yields dinged, and definitely don't want that. All right, 33 gallons, that ought to be enough. Man, I love this Simon's Accurate gauge. I mean, we can nail our tank volume on the dime every time. Whole lot better than that sight glass right there. If you're interested, be sure to contact Simon Innovations. They're also the same folks that make the lift kit that we got on that sprayer there. They've got some great products, and more importantly, they got some really outstanding service. So if you're interested, contact them and tell them I sent you. All right, got that filled up. I'm gonna hop in the sprayer, go to spraying. Andy's on his way in. I just told him to wait this morning until he heard from me, because I didn't know if we'd be able to spray or not. We really don't have much anything else to do around here. We're pretty much caught up on anything. We're pretty much caught up on everything except for field work. So he'll be in here a little bit. He'll grab the water truck, meet me at the field. I need to grab her passenger princess. Mommy's at the doctor today, so I'm babysitting. Yeah, I could have just put her in her crate, but I really hate having an animal caged up when there's no need. Besides, we didn't get her for her pretty face to sit around here and look pretty. We got her so she can learn to work. So Mia, let's go work. Come on. Also, we got some bad news. We lost Drake early last week. He just disappeared one afternoon. I mean, everything was fine. Then he just up and disappeared. Kelly looked for him for several days, thinking maybe he got hit by a car. You know, we checked ditches. You know, he wasn't the kind to run off. There was only a few distinct places that he would go, and didn't go to any of those places. We were actually scared that maybe he was stolen for, you know, a dog fighting ring, which that happens around here. People drive around, see dogs, pick them up, steal them, and put them in these dog fighting rings. But fortunately for him, that wasn't the case. Last Saturday, Kelly was walking there in front of the office, and she smelled something. So anyway, crawled up under there, and sure enough, Drake was there up under the office, and in the midst of the duct work. Really don't know what happened. I don't know, maybe he got bit by a copperhead or a cottonmouth out here and crawled up under there to die, or maybe he, you know, did get hit by a car and was injured enough to kill him, but not, you know, kill him immediately and crawled up under there to die. We really don't know. But anyway, Carter and I drug him out Saturday morning, gave him a proper burial. But that's tough. He's been with us for 6 years, and he was a dang good dog, super friendly, just wanted to go everywhere. You know, loved riding on the Can-Am, loved riding in the back of the truck, and, you know, follows to the field and everything. Dang good dog. But anyway, hopefully we got us another good dog if she'll freaking listen. Come on, let's go ride the sprayer. I say you're going to take a little bit of persuasion here. Come on. Well, the weather may have turned to absolute crap, but I am grateful that we're getting this done, because when we were delayed all last week, I got thinking, you know, how are we going to plant cotton and get our corn sprayed in a timely manner too? Because, you know, it's all hands on deck for cotton planting. You know, all our equipment's out there. It's not like I got a separate crew that can come out here and spray corn. So I was worried we might be dinging corn yields by, you know, that ryegrass putting back out and hurting the corn yield before it ever really even had a chance. So I'm grateful we're at least getting this done. And truth be told, in hindsight, I really should have been planting cotton last week. Yeah, it was a little cold, but it was dry. But that wasn't the forecast. The forecast was that it was supposed to be cold and wet, but we kept on missing all the showers and everything. So if I planted last week, you know, our cotton would probably be off to a fair start. Not a great start, but probably would have come up to an acceptable stand. But kept on watching the forecast, and this week looked good. Going to warm up real nicely, you know, highs around 85, 90. I mean, perfect cotton planting weather. It's supposed to be dry after this past weekend, but now we got to this week, forecast done changed. We might have like 2 good sunny dry days, but the problem is the fields have to dry up from the rains that we've gotten before we can plant. So at most it looks like we might have maybe 1 good planting day and then rain after that, which is not going to be conducive to getting a good stand of cotton. So I don't know, hindsight's always 20/20, but I tell you what, we hadn't even opened the first bag of cottonseed, and this cotton season is already proving to be way more difficult than what I'm wanting. But it's not like we haven't dealt with late cotton before. I mean, this cotton crop's going to be late, but the problem is that there's no margin for error on this cotton crop. We got to get a good stand the first time, because if we get into a replant situation, I mean, we won't be able to replant cotton. It'll just flat out be too late, most likely. So if we're going to have a cotton crop this year, we got to get it right the first time. And something else I said earlier in this video, we were looking at our corn stand. Well, I've now looked at all of my corn, and every variety except for the decal 6744 looks absolutely phenomenal. I mean, we've got dang near a picture perfect stand on all of our corn except for that one variety. And I don't know what it is. It had to have been a problem with the seed. I mean, that's the only explanation for it, because you know, all of our corn was planted in what, a 4 or 5 day window, with the 6744 planted right in the middle of that window, and everything else has come up to a fantastic stand. I got Helena running the lot numbers to see if there's, you know, anything on the germ test or whatever that could point to the problem. I mean, it's acting like it's chilling injury, but I mean, you know, it was hot when we planted corn. There was no chilling injury. There was no cold fronts that came through or anything else. You know, there's absolutely no reason why that corn was corkscrewing down there in the ground and just would not come up towards the surface. But that one variety, it looks pretty ugly. You know, I did a lot of stand counts, and you know, we've got anywhere from, I counted a low of 19,000 plants per acre and a high of around 26,000 plants per acre. And you know, it's definitely not at 100% yield potential. However, if we were to replant, if we had the time to replant, you know, planting this late in May, well, which one's going to yield the most? I know you need plants per acre out there, but also planting this late, you know, you're running into the distinct possibility of a lot drier weather. So, you know, it's a pretty easy call for me. I mean, we don't have the time to replant, because heck, we haven't even planted our cotton yet. That's the higher priority. We got to stand the corn out there that will yield something, so we're going to let it ride. Hopefully that 6744 will flex enough to kind of compensate for all those missing ears we're going to have out there. So anyway, guys, I reckon I'll end this video here. Hopefully the next time I see you, I'll be back in the planting tractor. We'll be putting some cottonseed in the ground. Appreciate y'all watching. If you don't mind, hit the like button. If you like our content, subscribe. Really helps the channel out. And if you want to support us in other ways, be sure to check out our merchandise store, www.farmmerchbin.com. Get you a Griggs Farm shirt, hat, tumbler, license plate, stickers, t-shirts, hoodies, whatever else. We got it all on there. So anyway, guys, appreciate y'all watching. See you in the next one.